Today on the workbench, I've got a new project here. This is an Athearn EMD40, and it is DCC, and this thing is tiny. So this is a machinist block, a 1-2-3 block, 3 by 2 by 1. So you can see this thing's 3 inches long, and probably it's almost 2 inches high. But yeah, it's a small locomotive. And what I've got for this thing, well, let's go back a minute. So this does have DCC in it, but it's not a sound decoder. This has a Soundtrax mobile decoder in it, and this is what's in it right now. So we're going to pull that out, and we're going to put in an ESU Loksound decoder. This is a model 58823. It is a Loksound 5 micro, DCC micro, and we'll get that programmed up, and we'll put this scale sound system speaker in it. These are actually made for this model. So we'll get this thing. We might as well start into it here. Let me find my Phillips screwdriver, and I believe we'll pull these screws out for the couplers. It's usually a good place to start with something like this. It does have KD couplers in it, so I don't have to upgrade that. And that is right. That screws right next to the body, so it's kind of hard to get out. But anyway, we got that. Now I wonder if I might just be able to pull the cab off of that. Let me pull this railing out. That was already out. That's off. So we can just pull that up. And this has LEDs in it. So pull this styrofoam out. So we won't have to upgrade the LEDs. I wouldn't have had to take the couplers off. But like I say, I am going to take everything out of this, basically. Set that over there and save that. Might need that for something one of these days. Of course, I say that, I never really reuse anything. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut everything off of the board here. And it looks like this picks up on both sides. And then one side of the truck. Okay. So we'll cut that. That was our power. Actually, there's this red right here is the other pickup. I'll have to put that back on because it just came off. So yeah, this little red wire solders right onto that. That'll set down in there just like that. So that won't be any big deal. I'm sliding all over the place there with my little mat that I'm sitting on. Kind of see how much room we have. I'm gonna try to put a Keep Alive in it. Now it will be a TCS Keep Alive, probably a KA1. I'll just have it programmed up before we put the KA1 on this board, because they are kind of tough to solder onto that board. So we'll go ahead and cut that wire off. I don't need that. And those are the two motor wires. Alright, we've got the start of a good little project here. Okay, you can probably hear my air conditioner kick on and off there. I took the decoder, I took the heat shrink off of the decoder, that way I could put it on my programmer, and I put the sound file in it. What we'll do now, and the way this will sit, and this is a double-sided piece of tape that was already on there, that'll set in there like that, and then I'll put the Keep Alive right here beside that. So, saying that, I need to connect a couple of wires. Let me pull this off. That's the other reason I pulled the heat shrink off of this. You got to take the board off, or the connector off, so I can get to these three tabs on this side here. And since I'm only going to use two of them, I'll use that one and that one there. And that'll be for our Keep Alive. So the other thing that I've got to do, might as well turn on a soldering iron. I need to get out some wire. So I need to get out wire for the speaker, hook that up, wire for the Keep Alive, because there's nothing coming off of this board for the Keep Alive. And we'll end up cutting these things fairly short. Might end up even just removing some of these and connecting the original wires. I'm not sure yet how I'll do that. So let me get some wire, get our Keep Alive, and then I will be back. Okay, I'll make up the speaker here. Get that out of the way. So actually, I probably won't need any wire at all. I can take the two brown wires, so those two brown wires are for the speaker. Let me just make sure of that. Never hurts to have instructions out. Yep, two brown. Okay. So I'm going to leave them kind of long. That way, you know, that'll sit down in there. And then that ought to give it room to lay off to the side if we need to take that out. And they don't doesn't matter which is which in this single speaker installation. So what I want to do is 10 and I always end up doing that, and I know better, so let's do this. I mean, it doesn't hurt the speaker, but you wouldn't want to leave it sit there. And these wires are already tinned. So that was the one nice thing about there already being tape on that. other than the fact that I can't get that off. But let's go ahead, we'll get our cab out, get some alcohol out. I'll clean that. Clean the back of the speaker. Dry that out. That's dry. Well, while I've got that, clean off the back of the back of the Keep Alive. And I am going to take that off so I can get a little better coverage with the tape. And that'll reduce the height a little bit too. The tape I use isn't as thick. Get the biggest part of that off. So, with this back together, my shears out. I don't want to hang over too far. See, I said shears and picked up my knife. So there's the double-sided tape. Oh, I forgot. I'll use the carpet tape for the speaker. That way it'll keep it up in the cab higher. and it's just a blue double-sided carpet tape that I always have a really hard time getting the backing off of. Seems like every time I work with it, I try something new. Well, I'm getting closer. There we go. After it starts, it doesn't do too bad, but it's just getting the stuff started that sometimes seems impossible. So that will be able to be seen in the cab, but I'm not worried about that. Now I got to work on getting the double-sided tape or backing off of that. It always goes easier. Well, I don't want to stick that. Well, yeah, I can stick that down. It'll be fine. So before I stick that Keep Alive in there, me unplug that, because my Keep Alive will go on those two pads that I showed you a little bit ago. And this outside one is the positive and that's the negative. Now, I know somebody is going to put in the comments that that'll void the warranty for the decoder. It probably will. And the reason for that is because the ESU decoders have an on-off switch built into them basically. The TCS decoders don't. But I've had no problem with The decoder itself, being hooked up this way, done several this way, and I'm looking for something to put some flux on. How come when I'm looking for trash I can't find trash? So blue is positive. I'm going to cut these way down. And then strip them and tin them. If I can get them apart now. So really, you know, if you think that it's going to void your warranty, then don't do it. But I want this to be able to run over switches and, you know, some bad track, because it is a really short wheelbase locomotive, and it is a switcher. So it's not going to do me any good to have a locomotive that I can't do anything with. So there's the Keep Alive hooked up to the to the end pad, and then the third one back. Okay, before I mount that, now I'm going to take this track pickup, spin it around, and I'll do the same with this track pickup. I'll leave that loose for a minute. That way I can see if everything fits. So I need black and red for track pickups. And I'm going to cut one of them short to go on that side. There's that one. Now I need the black wire. So we'll cut that off. So there's track pickups. Let me plug that in. Track pickup, speaker, Keep Alive, and I could have cut that wire a little bit shorter. But it'll lay right there, out of the way. That can lay right there. Now we've got our motor pickups, which are the orange and the gray. And let's see, what is it? Orange is positive, gray is negative, supposedly. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to take the black and make it negative. The tan will be our positive. And then if it works out, works out. So I'm going to cut that off about there. And then I'll strip that. Cut that off about there. And I'm going to hook this up and try it before I put any heat shrink on it. Well, actually, I'll take 2 pieces of heat shrink and put them on there. That way I'll have them. Go ahead and I want to tin all that first. So after we get these tinned up, we'll try this thing out. Well, let me put my little pieces of heat shrink on, because I've got a 50-50 shot at getting this on the right wire. And the way the lighting is, makes it hard to see what's happening. So I'm using gray as negative, Now, right there, that should give us enough to test it out. So, let me kind of just tuck that in there, and I'll be back. Okay, so I tested it, and as you can see, I pulled the Keep Alive off, and I don't know what I did. For some crazy reason, I took and soldered those to the wrong pads. So what I need to do is pull this decoder up. I hate to do it that way. Pull the decoder up and solder this must be looking at the wrong wiring diagram. Nah, I was looking at the right thing. Unless I had it hooked up backward, because I was getting a short there. Oh, wait a minute. I put that on the wrong way. Maybe I had that wired up the wrong way. Because that one, that should be the negative. That front post. Yep. Just have to own your mistakes. So let me plug this back in. And then I'll try it again. Alright, now I'll be back. Okay. So I did have those two wires on the Keep Alive backward, but I'm going to go ahead and remove this purple wire because I do not need that, and I don't need this green wire. So yeah, it pays to, I looked at the instructions, thought I followed the instructions. Nah, had them backward. So it happens, no biggie. Just unsoldered it and then resoldered the wire. Now it's time for lights, and I believe I need to put in a couple of resistors here. In there again, in the instructions that came with the decoder, it doesn't show any resistors. So I think I'll test it out on a couple of, or on an old bulb before I hook it to the good one. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so off camera I took and hooked up the lights, because it's just kind of, you know, strip the wire, tin it, and then I did have to put a resistor in. So I've got 2200 ohm resistors for the front and rear light, and this thing is ready to go back together. So of course you can see the red and the black there. The black is the function wire, and I've got the resistor on that. The blue is the common or the positive, so that's all good to go. Yeah, so we're ready to start putting this thing back together. What I'd like to do is keep that resistor up there if I can, and I may have to do all of this off camera. It may be easier to do that way. I think it is going to be easier. So let me turn this off, and then we'll get all of it put together, and then I'll be back. Alright, we've got this completed and up on the turntable. I'll turn that headlight off. It does have a really bright 3mm headlight in it. I did put 2200 ohm resistors in this. So let's go ahead and we'll go through the startup sequence. So there was the horn and the bell. Really not a lot to this. You know, fairly straightforward installation, hardwired. Now I will say it is tight for space, and you can probably see right there in the windows, you can see some of the wiring in there. It is rather tight, but it did all fit. You know, I did have to do a little bit of modification to the hood, but you can't see it, so there's really not much. It wasn't much to show there. Just round out a little hole to where the wires from the lights could go up to the board. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I'll include the file name in the description, or I'll put it on the video or right on the page there. But anyway, I'm going to put the drive hold on, and then I'll ramp this thing up. And that is a 2-cycle Detroit. It's their program for the RDCs. So it does have a pretty good sound to it. You know, nothing that stands out, but those old two-stroke Detroits, they used to put them in a lot of concrete trucks. That's how you knew when the concrete was coming. So there's full throttle. I'll take that back to 0. And I'll move it forward here just a little bit. After I release the drive hold. It does have pretty good slow speed. That's speed step 2. So this was a pretty good little project, and like I say, it's all completed. So thanks for watching.